Adam Schefter, you've been a part of the reporting of this story since it began developing late yesterday afternoon. Take as much time as you need. What does everyone need to know?
Well, the school gathered together the coaches yesterday afternoon, the players, to inform them of Sherrone Moore's firing. The school fired him for cause. And obviously there are so many layers to this that are sad, troubling, disconcerting, and cautionary. And essentially after his firing, he wound up being detained by police. He spent the night in Washtenaw County Jail. He's being accused of having an inappropriate relationship with a staff member. Now, if we go back, there had been lots of whispers and speculation about various gossipy, salacious items with the school here dating back weeks. And I believe the school looked into these situations and found no evidence whatsoever of any wrongdoing. But if the school is going to take a step on Wednesday that it did and announce that it is firing Sherrone Moore for cause and saying he had an inappropriate relationship with a staffer, then clearly something this week developed that the school felt like it had irrefutable evidence and was left no other choice. And so now you are in a situation where Michigan fires the first black head coach in school's history, somebody that helped that school win a national championship, a man who just had another child this summer. He's married, has 3 daughters, and this family obviously is going to be subjected to things now you couldn't even imagine. This man's life, professionally, personally, was upended yesterday. It's a sad story in so many ways, and we are going to continue to learn more and more about what led up to this and what transpired after he was fired for cause.
To be clear, if you are a person with access to the internet, you are aware that there are any number of speculatory items out there. We will share none of them on a show like this. And obviously, if there are any further developments as far as the legal situation involving Sherrone Moore, we will develop those or share those with you immediately. In the meantime, this is a sports show, and this is an enormous sports story. The University of Michigan football program is one of the biggest athletic brands in America, and suddenly it has a vacancy at the very most important position at what is an extremely inopportune time on the sports calendar in college football. So we segue to that, Schefter. What do we know about Michigan's search for a new head coach?
Well, let's say this, that the school has been through this a few times in recent years because there always was the speculation that Jim Harbaugh could and would leave, and eventually he did leave. So they always have been looking at candidates in the event that it was faced with something like this. It went through the situation 2 years ago when it wound up promoting and hiring Sherrone Moore to become its head coach. For now, the school is going with Biff Poggi as its interim head coach. He will lead the school during its bowl game. That will give the school time to essentially do its diligence on the list of candidates that are out there. And obviously, it's been a tumultuous season in the college football world. There are going to be more names that are connected to this job. But Michigan is a first-rate school. It's one of the storied jobs in all of sports. There are going to be a lot of people, some surprising names, that are interested in this job. And I do believe that Michigan will be able to find a great head coach. But this is going to be a little bit of a process with Biff Poggi holding down the fort until then.
And it's safe to assume that we will hear names not only from the world of college football, but potentially from the National Football League as well.
Oh, I think that that's absolutely possible. Just like you did with some of these other openings.
Yep.
There were coaches that were going to be interviewed, did interview, and it'll happen again with Michigan.
Okay, outstanding work, Schefter. Let's come back here and bring the rest of the group in. We have our usual Thursday lineup here, including the Bussin boys who are down there. Taylor and Will and Hawk is here, and Dan Orlovsky is here. And we will deal in all of this, again, to sort of try and give you some perspective on the calendar. They just had National Signing Day a week and a half ago, so all of these high school kids have just committed. Michigan has a very highly rated class. They're going to now have to try and figure out a way to keep those kids there. The transfer portal opens in just a few weeks, and so obviously that becomes a question mark, and these are the things they have to deal with while dealing with all the rest of this. Taylor Lewan is one of the great players in Michigan history, and obviously you remain very close to the program. What are your thoughts on the situation as we wake up this morning?
I mean, obviously, all the allegations, things that are taking place, we're not going to comment on that, but my heart goes out to the people that are affected and the players that are in that building who no longer have a head coach with how they did just 24 hours ago. For the University of Michigan.
As you say that, It does occur to me. I'm sorry to cut you off because I know that was our plan. It was just to, but can you try and for a moment imagine being a player on that team right now and you waking up this morning? And this was you once upon a time. I don't know, 15 years ago, whatever the case may have been. Can you try and put yourself into the mindset of what a college player wakes up thinking on a morning like this?
Well, I mean, the first thing you're going to see is obviously the head coach has been fired, then all the rumors and stuff going on. So, like everything, the group chats are going to fire up. Guys are going to have a speculation of what was going on, how long all this stuff has been going on. So they're going to do the same thing that kind of all of us on the internet are doing today. And then it's an emergency team meeting, whether that's the AD that's doing that, if it's Biff Poggi, and kind of giving everybody the lay of the land. But if you're the players and you're a leader in that room, it's about keeping everybody together, because what Michigan prides themselves on is winning championships and developing players. And if they can keep everybody in-house, because they have the guys to do that, they have the recruiting class to do that, they have everything there. And now we're going into the transfer portal, which opens up January 2nd. It is so imperative that Michigan gets the right guy in as fast as possible, because if they take longer than January 2nd, Michigan is dangerously close to going through what Penn State has gone through for their coaching process.
It's extremely well said. So that all of that said, who do you believe should be the next coach at Michigan?
Well, I think that the first name that's going to come up a lot is going to be Kalen DeBoer. I know he's a Midwest guy, Midwest ties. He's got a proven winning track record. Jesse Minter is another name that's going to come up in the NFL, whether he's extremely interested in that or not, whether he wants to stay in the NFL or go to college. I think Michigan fans would really like to have him. Kenny Dillingham, a guy that's at Arizona State University. Last year took his team to the playoff with a group of guys that were probably less talented than the rest of the college football playoff. Mm-hmm. He's a winning head coach. And then Matt Campbell is probably the last name on my list right there, not in any specific order. But I would look to Matt Campbell, and the way I hear Josh Pate, who is the future commissioner of college football, Matt Campbell's a guy I would look how dry that ink is on that contract. Because if you look at Penn State and how they went across their whole coaching search, they hit about 7, 8, 9, 10 people. Matt, and I feel some type of way about Penn State and their process. And if I'm one of Michigan's top 3 calls, I'm listening to that call.
Dan, let me get Dan in. We're going to have a problem with Will's mic. Would you hand him that, please? Dan,
Will's getting custom.
Who would be, what are your thoughts on the Michigan coaching job?
Kalen DeBoer would be the only call. If Kalen DeBoer has any interest, it would be the only call that I would make. Right now,
in a related story, Kalen DeBoer is playing a college football playoff game in a week and a half, right?
Correct. Right now, Michigan doesn't even matter, though. Like, if we're being honest about where Michigan matters, 2 years ago, they won the national title. Ohio State's far superior to them right now.
Beat them last year.
Indiana, far superior to them right now.
Probably beat them too.
Oregon, far superior to them right now. And they got head coaches that are guys at the very top. If you're Michigan, are you just going to go get someone? Because I know you mentioned the point, like the timing should not matter to Michigan. You're Michigan. Getting the right name, getting the right guy that can get you back to the level, that gets you on that even playing field with those 3 other coaches, that's the challenge. I like Kenny Dillingham. I totally agree with that being like an option eventually. But if Kalen DeBoer, if you call DeBoer and you think that there's any form of interest mutually, you figure out a way to make that happen, and the answer is never no when it comes back from him. You don't allow that to happen.
I agree with Kalen DeBoer. I think he's done it at every level, and that's important when you're looking for a new college football head coach in this landscape. The reason why I will push you on that being the only name and some of those other programs you talked about is because now more than ever, it is less about the X's and the O's and more about the Jimmies and the Joes.
100%.
And a home run is the guy that can do both. So for Michigan, a couple of things are at play here, and this is why you have to move fast. All the guys that you just signed, they get an automatic release from their letters of intent from early signing day. So now they're open sesame to every program to come in.
Because of the move
Because of the
head
coaching
coach?
change.
Okay.
They are automatically released for their national letter of intent, so everyone's going to be at them trying to sign them. Number 2, the players on that roster, they get essentially 2 portal windows. One portal window for the January 2nd that everybody gets, and another one when they hire a new head coach. So if you bring a guy in that the guys on your current roster don't like, then they're going to go, and all the other programs are going to be, sharks in the water around those players. So you have to get a coach that has a track record of winning, to your point, a coach that has done well with the resources they've been afforded, but they can do more with the resources at Michigan, and one that the players on that roster are galvanized by and that are probably coming with probably 20 to 30 players of their own from their current program.
And listen, every player that is good on the University of Michigan woke up this morning from a text from their agent if they have an agent.
Correct.
And it's going to be, hey, what do you want? These people are reaching out. That process, the tampering process, because of how the Wild West of college football is already taking place right now. That's why, to me, it's if you get the powers that be, whoever the Illuminati of Michigan is, get them in a room, and you have to make a strategic decision right now. Who are our top 3 guys? If the first guy's going to be Kalen DeBoer, that call needs to happen, whether it's back channels or right to Jimmy Sexton himself. It needs to get done immediately because you got to get these players to get off of all the sharks that are about to come.
Because you're right, too, with the group chats firing up on losing your head coach and everything else. But players are going to be asking, hey, we thinking about moving? We thinking about leaving? Would I be curious, too, to ask Schefter on the name of Kalen DeBoer? I do feel like there was whispers of Kalen DeBoer in Michigan over the recent weeks, and a lot of it hung on if Alabama was going to be Auburn in the Iron Bowl. I feel like that's also why Lane Kiffin was waiting until the 11th hour, was to see if that Alabama job was going to come open. So what I'm curious about is it going to come down to Alabama and Oklahoma next weekend on if Oklahoma wins that game? Do we now look at Kalen DeBoer going out to Michigan? Or does it happen sooner than that? Because, again, if that Alabama job opens up, is there going to be another crazy Lane Kiffin story that we hear about?
Let me be very clear when that game is. Just a week from tomorrow night, 8 o'clock Eastern on ABC and ESPN, Alabama and Oklahoma play what might be the best of all, the first-round college football playoff games. And this conversation, to your point, is taking place right this minute with that game 8 days away.
I don't know the result of any game is going to dictate whether or not a coach stays or goes. I think Kalen DeBoer is a name that had intrigued Michigan in the past. I think the school is a program that had intrigued him in the past.
Yeah.
And I don't care whether he wins or loses. The college world is not a world that I know well in terms of how it works. But if they win, can he take? I guess he can take the job at any point he wants, right? That's my. It's not like the NFL where the coach has to lose and then they can get things going.
I guess for me, it's more so if I'm DeBoer,
but I don't believe the result of that game. Either he wants to be in Michigan and Michigan wants him, or he doesn't. That's it. I don't care what happens in the game. Okay, if he wants to be there and Michigan wants him, and by the way, let me also say this: I don't believe he's going to be the only name that they sift through. There are going to be many. You guys are making it sound like he's the guy, and he might be the guy in the end. But there are going to be other names for this job that come up, and they're going to go through all of them. It's not like it's a one-shot deal here where it's Kalen DeBoer or bust.
And I understand that, Schefter, but if you can speak on it better than I, but how does Michigan get its esteem back? Like, how does Michigan
Dan.
But that has to be at the forefront.
I got it. You make the best hire you can, and you let that guy turn the program into a winner. And if it's a good hire and they win, the esteem is going to be back.
Exactly.
That's what's going to happen.
They're one hire away from getting
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it is. But this becomes
a critical hire.
All of the reasons that we have described here, one of the most interesting hires that we will see in a long time. Again, there were two parallel stories here running, and the one that involves the football is the one that we will deal in as the morning continues. If there are any further developments on the legal side of it, obviously, we'll pass those along as well.
You want this, you got that. No way, watch them walk right past you. Run fast, run